In the beginning of the episode we see, deeper inside the dungeon, a powerful skeleton boss known as the Lord of Death is finally reborn. The moment he awakens, he declares that he'll destroy the abhorrent seal no matter what it takes. By the time morning arrives, Vargriff and his team finally return from their underground investigation. Hiraku immediately asks if they managed to figure out why monsters had been appearing on the surface. Vargriff explains that the problem was caused by a massive number of undead hiding beneath the ground. However, Hakurin quickly drove all of them away, so he believes the village should be safe from monster attacks for a while. Vargriff admits that he wanted to investigate the underground area more carefully and learn more about what was happening. Unfortunately, before he could do that, everything had already been reduced to ashes. Hiraku understands that part, but there's something else that completely confuses him. Standing beside Vargriff is a small child, and Hiraku has no idea who she is. Vargriff then calmly explains that the little girl is actually the leader of the undead monsters. Hiraku is completely shocked because he never imagined that the leader of such a terrifying group of monsters would turn out to be a little girl. It's then revealed that the child is actually the same Lord of Death from earlier. Apparently, Hakurin encountered her underground, ripped off her skeleton head, and blasted her with a powerful fire breath attack. But instead of destroying her completely, the attack somehow transformed her into the form of a young girl. On top of that, she seems to have lost all of her memories. Because of this, Vargriff feels that she won't mean them any harm, so he didn't have the heart to simply leave her underground all by herself. Hiraku understands Vargriff's reasoning and agrees that bringing her back to the village was the right decision. Hiraku then kneels down in front of the girl and gently asks for her name. The little girl introduces herself as Urza, and she confirms that she can't remember a single thing from her past. It's then revealed that, long ago, Urza suddenly awakened from a deep sleep. When she woke up, she no longer remembered who she used to be. The only thing she knew was that she was now called the Lord of Death. Something mysterious had awakened her and given her a single order: destroy the seal placed on the land. With no memories and nothing else to guide her, Urza simply obeyed the command. She first created several earth golems. Even though the golems were weak fighters, they were extremely useful for digging tunnels underground. The earth golems continued digging non-stop until they finally discovered one of the seals. For the first time, Urza felt satisfied, believing she had completed her task. However, she soon sensed that there were still more seals hidden somewhere underground. Because of that, she ordered the golems to keep digging deeper and deeper. Eventually, they discovered a cave filled with skeletons. Using her powers as the Lord of Death, Urza brought the skeletons under her control and made them help with the digging as well. As time passed, Urza's forces continued to grow. She even tamed giant moles to make the digging process faster and more efficient. But during all those years, Urza slowly began questioning herself. She wondered if endlessly digging holes was really the purpose of someone as powerful as the Lord of Death. Still, since she had nothing else to do and no other purpose in life, she simply kept following her orders. For decades, Urza and her army continued digging underground. Eventually, they finally discovered another black stone seal. Everyone celebrated the achievement together. Even though they had no idea how many seals still remained, they swore that they would eventually find and destroy every single one of them. But before they could continue their mission, Hakurin suddenly appeared and kicked her right in the face. After that attack, Urza transformed into the little girl she is now and lost all memory of what had happened. Back in the present, Tia and the others question Hiraku about whether it's really a good idea to let Urza stay in the village. Hiraku replies that they should at least take care of her until she regains her memories. One of the girls then notices Urza's name and says it reminds her of the legendary hero Queen. For a brief moment, she wonders if Urza could actually be that same person, but she quickly dismisses the idea because it sounds far too unbelievable to be true. She then asks Hiraku if it would be alright for her to take Urza to have a bath, and Hiraku agrees without hesitation. At the same time, Hiraku and Vargriff are relaxing together in a hot bath. Vargriff especially seems to be enjoying himself. However, while they soak in the water, Vargriff brings up an important point. Even if all the monsters in the dungeon are gone for now, they should still seal the dungeon entrance to stop new monsters from entering in the future. Still, before dealing with that problem, the two of them decide to relax in the bath a little longer. At the same time, after Anne finishes giving Urza a bath, it becomes clear that Urza isn't enjoying the hot water very much because her skin is extremely sensitive. Wanting to feel more comfortable, Urza asks Anne to join her in the bath, saying it would make her feel better. Anne agrees and gets into the bath with her. However, things suddenly become awkward when Hakuren and Lasti walk into the room and see the two of them bathing together. Embarrassed, Urza immediately runs out of the bath while blowing raspberries at them, and then quickly chases after her. After some time passes, Kaibit finishes taking her own bath and feels completely refreshed. She then tells Hiraku and Tia that she plans to return to the kingdom of Garlot because she still has priestess duties she needs to handle there. Hiraku and Tia wish her a safe journey, and not long afterward, Kaibit flies away. With everything settled for the moment, Hiraku decides to head underground to inspect the strange black stone seal that Vargriff mentioned earlier. At first glance, the stone doesn't seem unusual at all, but after observing it more carefully, Hiraku starts to notice a strange aura leaking out from the stone. Sensing that something is wrong, Hiraku pulls out the almighty farming tool and strikes the purple aura with it. The moment he does, the strange aura becomes suppressed. When Hiraku explains what happened to the others, they're confused because apparently he's the only person who could see the strange aura in the first place. Hakuren briefly considers destroying the black stone completely, but she quickly realizes that doing so would probably collapse the entire cave. Instead, Hiraku transforms the almighty farming tool into a chisel and decides to carve the stone into a sculpture of the gods. He believes that the divine essence of the gods would easily overpower the dark energy he sensed coming from the stone earlier. After finishing the sculpture, Hiraku suggests burying it underground so nobody can move it. However, Vargriff strongly disagrees with the idea. He argues that a statue as magnificent as this deserves to be seen instead of hidden away underground. Because of Vargriff's opinion, they decide not to bury the statue after all. Vargriff even helps create more statues to act as protective charms against evil, and several of them are eventually placed above ground as well. Vargriff thanks Hiraku for listening to his advice and choosing not to bury the sculptures. However, Vargriff also warns Hiraku that there are probably far more secrets hidden within those underground tunnels than they currently realize. After saying that, he opens a portal and announces that he's heading back to the hot springs first so he can prepare for a proper underground expedition later on. After Vargriff leaves, Hiraku notices that Hakuren suddenly flies away without saying a single word. Curious, he turns to Lasti and asks if something is wrong. Lasti quietly apologizes to Hiraku, saying she feels useless and believes she hasn't been much help to him. Hiraku immediately disagrees and reminds her that she helped defeat a large number of monsters during the battle. However, Lasti explains that even though she did help fight the monsters, she still feels responsible for burning down part of the forest. Hiraku had warned. Hiraku had told her not to use her fire breath, but she ended up using it anyway. Even so, Hiraku feels the situation is actually his own fault because he was the one who sent her on such a dangerous mission in the first place. Because of that, he apologizes to her instead, but Lasti quickly tells him not to apologize so much. She says that someone important like him shouldn't constantly lower himself by apologizing to others. Hiraku understands what she means and promises to keep her advice in mind. Afterward, Hiraku goes to check on Hakuren, who still seems upset. However, it turns out she was simply worried about his safety the entire time. Once they talk things out, the misunderstanding is quickly resolved between them. Meanwhile, Vargriff and his underground team continue searching for more black stones deep within the tunnels. During their search, they come across an unfinished tunnel, so they decide to keep digging farther ahead. By the end of the day, they successfully discover 3 more stones. When the group returns to the surface, they complain to Hiraku about how exhausting the work underground has been. Hiraku then asks if he should join them next time to help out, but they quickly refuse and tell him to stay behind because the underground tunnels could be extremely dangerous. Even so, Vargriff and the others continue their search underground day after day, endlessly digging through the tunnels in hopes of finding the final stone. However, after searching for such a long time without finding anything, they slowly begin to wonder if the last stone even exists at all. Despite their doubts, none of them are willing to give up, so they continue digging anyway. Spending so much time trapped underground eventually starts affecting the girls mentally. The endless digging and isolation begin wearing them down more and more. But after an incredibly long search, they finally discover the final stone. The moment they find it, the girls immediately collapse onto the ground in relief because the exhausting search is finally over. Right after returning to the surface, they head straight for the hot springs to relax and recover from all the hard work. Seeing how completely exhausted everyone looks, Hiraku decides he should prepare some kind of special reward to thank them for all their efforts. However, Vargriff quickly reminds Hiraku that there is still plenty of work left to do because all of the stones now need to be carved into statues of the gods. Watching how excited Vargriff suddenly becomes makes Hiraku realize that creating the statues was probably the real reason Vargriff was so eager to search for the stones in the first place. That's it for today. Like and subscribe for more. See you in the next one.